Alpha 1 Echo Whiskey.
Okay, Papa Alpha 1 Echo Whiskey, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November returning. Okay, still all copy, yes, but indeed the conditions are not so stable. On your last over I get a very strong QSB, but anyway, no problems whatsoever to get the complete copy on your transmission. Okay, over here the weather is not so good, so now I know where the good weather from Portugal is. So we have a very gray sky over here. The temperatures are dropping a lot. Probably today we have around 16 degrees Celsius, but the sky is very, very gray, and it seems that it's almost raining over here. So no sun at all over here into Portugal, at least at my position. So just to let you know my working conditions, I'm using a Kenwood transceiver. It's the Tango Sierra 870, and I'm pushing about 100 watts the power I get from the radio into a X-beam beam antenna pointing towards your direction at the moment. The microphone, it's a Heil, it's the Papa Radio 781, and this is pretty much my working conditions. Papa Alpha 1 Echo Whiskey, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November. Go ahead.
Roger, Pedro, fine business. Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf Norway, Papa Alpha 1 Echo Whiskey returning. Fine copy on your transmission, Pedro, no problem at all. Thanks for the description of your station. There, I'm using also Kenwood, a TS7AGN, Tango Sugar 590, which I just have. I had another transceiver before, but I'm now doing the first one of the first QSOs a little bit. Pedro, it's also 100 watts, and the antenna is an NFET wire, an NFET monopole wire. About 8 to 9 meters high. Yeah, sorry about the weather. It doesn't seem to stop. We had some bad weather, I think around July and August, but September and now in the first part of October is really good. We have excellent weather, and okay, maybe it doesn't last very long. Anyway, wish you a very good hobby, Pedro. Thank you very much for the nice contact. And my microphone back to you there, Charlie Sierra, Alpha Golf Norway, Papa Alpha 1 Echo Whiskey.
Papa Alpha 1 Echo Whiskey, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November. Okay, my good friend had all copy over here, but indeed the conditions are not so stable, okay? I had moments on your last over, peaking the 20 dBs overnight, very, very strong, and right after, your signal just dropped to almost the noise floor. So, huge QSB on the band, condition seems to be in change, but anyway, I still have a copy on you. That's the important part, okay? The pleasure is all on my side. I'm very, very glad to meet you on frequency, and I'm looking forward to meet you several times on the band in the near future, my good friend. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the good weather, and enjoy the radio also. And I'm looking forward to meet you down on the log. All the best and greetings from Portugal, the best 73s and the 51. And take care, my good friend, and God bless you. Papa Alpha 1 Echo Whiskey, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, saying bye-bye for now, and we are clear now.
Okay, Pedro, thank you very much for the contact. I wish you best. And sure hope to catch you again in the near future, Pedro. 73, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, 73, we are clear now. QRZ20, QRZ20, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, calling CQ20 and standing by.
Echo Alpha 4 Tango Bravo.
Echo Alpha 4, come again.
Echo America 4 Tango Bravo. Echo 4 Tango Bravo. Your flight is 757 knots yourself.
I'm sorry. Echo Alpha 4. Your signal just dropped a lot, okay? You start very good, but I'm having a huge QSB over here, so let's try one more time. Echo Alpha 4, question mark.
I think this was probably down
I'm very, very, very sorry, my good friend. Thank you for trying, but at this moment it's rather impossible for me. Nothing heard over here on this side. QRZ 20, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, calling DX on 20 and standing by.
QRZ.
Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, calling CQDX on 20 and standing by.
Again, please, once again, over.
Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, calling CQ on 20 and standing by.
Okay, good afternoon and sorry, Charlie Sugar 7 Alpha Golf Nancy, India Kilo 7 Delta Tango Mike. Radio report is 59, over.
Okay, thank you so much for the 59. You are also coming loud and clear over here, 59 plus 10 on the peak. I think I got your call sign correctly. Please correct if I'm wrong. India Kilo 7 Delta Tango Mike, is that correct?
Roger, it's correct, 100%. Oh, I'm very, very curious. What is your audio system? A very, very nice audio, okay?
Okay, thank you so much. India Kilo 7 Delta Tango Mike, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November. Thank you so much for the compliments. You are also making a very, very nice job. I like very much your audio. It's sounding amazingly over here into my headphones. Okay, for my working conditions, just to let you know, I'm using the microphone. It's a studio microphone from Heil, the Papa Radio 781. And the microphone goes through an audio rack from Behringer with 4 elements. I'm using the mic preamplifier, the parametric equalizer, the 2496. I'm using also the Sony Exciter and the Virtualizer Pro. The radio, it's the Kenwood, the Tango Sierra 870, and I'm using about 100 watts on the peak into a hexa beam pointing towards your direction. India Kilo 7 Delta Tango Mike, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November. Go ahead.
QSL compliments, very nice working condition. My working condition is Income 7400 with microphone is Papa any sound microphone Papa Radio 40 with Eco Plus and 8-band audio equalizer. Antenna is 3 diameters, 3 benders by Kushtrap. This is the whole. Ciao 73 and good uptime. Golf Sugar 7 Alpha Golf November, India Kilo 7 Delta Tango Mike. 73, so take care and all best. Bye-bye.
Okay, the pleasure is all on my side, my good friend. India Kilo 7 Delta Tango Mike, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, returning for the final. 73 and 51, and thank you so much for coming back to my call. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend, the radio, and also good luck with your DX. Maybe we can catch up later on. And on frequency and probably in the near future. Have a nice one. God bless you. Ciao, ciao. Until the next time. India Kilo 7 Delta Tango Mike, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November. We are clear now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, 73.
QRZ 11, QRZ 20, QRZ 20, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, calling CQ on 20 and standing by. I'm getting a weak signal. I think the call sign started with a Delta. Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November. Come again?
Delta Hotel 8.
Okay, now I got Delta Hotel, but after that, impossible for me. Conditions are not stable over here. I'm getting a huge QSB on signals. Please try one more time.
Yeah, of course, no problem. The acute Baltimore is very strong. This is Delta Hotel 8, Mike Bravo Victor. Delta Hotel 8, Mike Bravo Victor.
Let me see if I got it. Delta Hotel 8, Mike Bravo. Delta Hotel 8, Mike Bravo. Okay, very, very difficult. Your signal it's with a lot of QSB, and most of the times it's below the noise floor. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Delta Hotel 8, Mike Bravo, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November.
Okay, no problem. This is my call sign is Delta Hotel 8, Mike Bravo Victor. And Victor we have. QSL?
Okay, Delta Hotel 8, Mike Bravo Victor. Is that a QSL?
This is correct. I can give you 5/7 and it goes down to 5/1. It's very strong.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate your call. Okay, but it's quite impossible for me. I have QSB, strong QSB, and most of the part of your QSO I just lost. Okay, please, if you are so kind, can you please try again and give me your operator name? Operator on this side, by the way, is Pedro. Pedro like Papa, Echo, Delta, Romeo, Oscar. Delta Hotel 8, Mike Bravo Victor, CS7AGN is listening for you.
Okay, Pedro, no problem. QSL. My name is Gerhard. I spell it for you. Golf Echo Romeo Hotel Alpha Romeo Delta. Gerhard is my name, and my duty is to create a city of QSL.
Okay, Gerard, yes, your name, I got it 100%, and thank you so much for your effort, okay? Very difficult conditions, but we are still making the QSO. Okay, I'll copy for your name and also for your location and the percent in my log. My location is more or less about 35 kilometers south from Lisbon, the capital city of Portugal, in the small village very, very near to the Atlantic coast, on the most occidental part of Europe, over here in Portugal. Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate your efforts, and it was a great pleasure for me to meet you on frequency. Maybe we can catch up later on with better conditions, because the propagation is not very good at this moment. But anyway, it was quite a very nice QSO. I'm looking forward to meet you again. And until there, have a nice one. God bless you and your family. 73s and 51. Delta Hotel 8, Mike Bravo Victor, Charlie Sierra 7, AGN. Bye-bye for now, 73.
Good night for now. Thank you a lot for this nice QSO. Difficulties are to manage, and we have as many things are with good conditions. Greeting your family. Bye-bye, 73.
Bye-bye, 73, Gerard, and all the best. Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, calling CQ on 20 and standing by.
Germany 8 Hotel Bravo Sierra, Golf 8 Hotel Bravo Sierra.
Germany 8, come again.
Roger. Germany 8 Hotel Bravo Sierra, Golf 8 Hotel Bravo Sierra, bye.
Okay, I'll copy. Germany 8 Hotel Bravo Sierra. Very good morning for you, sir. On this side, you got Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, and the operator name is Pedro. Pedro like Papa Echo Delta Romeo Oscar. Your signal report is a 5-9, a steady 5-9, and with a 10 on top on the peak. Golf 8 Hotel Bravo Sierra, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, go ahead.
Roger that. I'm not sure if you said Ben. I'm not sure if you said Ben for your handle there. Apologies if I've got it wrong there. The name this side, Peter. Portugal Echo Tango Echo Romeo Peter. The name this side. You report a good 5x8 to 5x9. 5x8 to 5x9 on the northeast coast. At the moment, presently running a Delta Loop. At the moment, presently running a Delta Loop antenna. And just 100 whiskey.
So that's the setup over here. Please confirm your name again just for me on the next over there for my log there. Charlie Sugar 7, Alpha Golf November, Golf 8, Hotel Bravo Sierra, bye.
Okay, Golf 8, Hotel Bravo Sierra, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November returning. Okay, my handle is Pedro. Pedro like Papa Echo Delta Romeo Oscar. The Portuguese version for your own name, Peter. Okay, Pedro is my name and my location is about 35 kilometers south from Lisbon, the capital city of Portugal. I just turned my beam to your direction because I was pointing more to the east, and now the beam is pointing towards UK, so probably you are getting me with a little bit more conditions. Okay, my working conditions, I'm using a Kenwood transceiver, it's the Tango Sierra 870, and I'm pushing about 100 watts, the power I get from the radio, into a hexa beam now pointing towards your direction. The microphone is a Heil, a Papa Radio 781, and this is pretty much my working conditions. Golf 8, Hotel Bravo Sierra, Charlie Sierra 7, AGN, back to you.
Roger there, Pedro. Roger, yes, apologies for the name there. I've just switched over, just about to switch over to another antenna over here. You came up, by the way, quite a good bit. You're now 5x9 plus over here, 5x9 plus over here with me this morning there. And I'm about to switch over to another antenna on my next over there, so I would appreciate a report on that one. I'm running a Ten-Tech Orion 2 with a Hale headset into a Delta loop at the moment, but when I come back I'll be using the inverted V there. Charlie Sugar 7, Alpha Golf Norway, Golf 8, Hotel Bravo Sierra, bye.
Golf 8, Hotel Bravo Sierra, Charlie Sierra 7 AGN returning. Okay, let me say, indeed the signal just improved quite a bit. You are now 5.9 plus 20, steady, no QSB. So congratulations, your Delta Loop is making a very, very nice job on you. Okay, if you want to try the inverted V, please go ahead. Golf 8, Hotel Bravo Sierra, Charlie Sierra 7, Alpha Golf November.
Okay there, this is the inverted V now, Pedro. This is the inverted V just from the side of the house. Not quite so high, and as I say, from the side of the house, just doing some stations in the week over here. The Delta Loop goes on a large pole down the garden, 40 foot, and this is just run from the chimney stack on the side of the house over here, Pedro. So I'd be interested to see if the difference in the two signals there. Charlie Sugar 7, Alpha Golf Norway, Golf 8, Hotel Bravo Sierra, bye.
Golf 8, Hotel Bravo Sierra, CS7AGN returning. Okay, you are still strong, okay. I got a little bit of QSB on the last over, but I think it's not related with your antenna. It's more related with the conditions on the band. I was getting huge QSB on the last QSOs I made. But anyway, your signal report dropped a little bit from the Delta Loop to the inverted V. You are now 5x9 peaking the 10 dB sometimes. But it's a 5x9 steady with sometimes peaking the 10 dB over here. Golf 8, Hotel Bravo Sierra, CS7AGN. Back to you.
Okay there, Pedro. Thank you for that. Thank you for testing that for me. As I say, it's the first time I'm able to do comparisons over on this side. And your signal's definitely stronger on the Delta Loop. Your signal's definitely stronger on the Delta Loop over here. Okay, 73s, thank you for the contact. You have a good day there. And no doubt we'll work further down the log there from Portugal there. Charlie Sugar 7, Alpha Golf November, Golf 8, Hotel Bravo Sierra, bye.
Golf 8, Hotel Bravo Sierra, Charlie Sierra 7 AGN, returning for you and for the final. Thank you so much. The pleasure is all on my side, my good friend. Have a nice one. God bless you. Cheers and beers. Please accept my 73s and 5-1, and I'm also wishing to meet you further and in the near future, my good friend. All the best and greetings from Portugal. Golf 8, Hotel Bravo Sierra, Charlie Sierra 7 AGN, your radio friend Pedro in Portugal, saying bye-bye, 73, and we are clear now.
73 is Pedro, 73.
QRZ20, QRZ20, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, calling CQ on 20 and standing by.
Right, Alpha Golf November, is it? Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey. Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey, calling you Pedro, over.
Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey, very good morning. Amazing signal, 59 plus 25, go ahead.
Yes, okay, fine. From Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey, yes, you're also 59 plus 10 here. Very good signal indeed, Pedro. I was just listening to your last QSO. And the QSO before, actually, I was listening to you then as well. I hadn't actually got what your call sign was. I hadn't written it down. But I guess it's Alpha Golf November. I couldn't quite tell what you were saying. It was Hotel Echo November, actually, written down. But I didn't write it down when you said it phonetically, because you just did it then at the end. So, very good. Okay, yes, so excellent signal. Name here is Steve, Sierra Tango Echo Victor Echo Steve, and the QTH is near York, Yankee Oscar Romeo Kilo, York, about 25 kilometers northeast of York, in the northeast part of England, of course. And yes, I was interested in your signal because I've got two antennas here. I've got a three-element antenna, and then on a separate mast, about 20 meters away, I've got another antenna, a CobWebb antenna, which is omnidirectional. And there's well over 30 dBs of isolation between them, so, I can compare them quite accurately. And, if you have them too close together, of course, there's a great danger if the other antenna acts as a parasitic element. And then you get strange effects when everybody tells you one antenna is best when you're transmitting, but for you, the other antenna is best on receiving. And of course, that's because you're using the parasitic elements and the reflection of the Earth, etc., all coming into it. And you get very peculiar results sometimes. I had two antennas once on 80 meters, and it was always 10 dBs better on one when I transmitted, but it was always 10 dBs better on the other one for me. And you think people are getting confused here, which antenna I'm transmitting on and things, but it's not. There was this massive difference between the two antennas, and it was always best to transmit on one and receive on the other. I did work it out. It's quite complicated, actually. And it was all to do with circular polarization being produced, and because effectively when I was feeding one antenna, I was coupling to the other. I was feeding both antennas, really. And the ground reflection alters the circular polarization to give the opposite direction, so you get a 20 dB differential, so it's not reciprocal. So it took me ages to figure that out. As an electromagnetics engineer, I felt it was my duty to figure it out, So it's interesting when antennas are closely coupled together. You can't you can't test them one against the other very well because of the parasitic effects. Unless you've got to very carefully detune the unused one. That's the answer if they are close together. You can't leave them resonant, of course. So all good fun. Quite often, of course, when you open circuit one, the coax that's left on that antenna is acting as a stub. So when you switch to the other antenna, quite often the coax detunes it. But you just got to be careful that sometimes some antennas that doesn't happen. Say an antenna which has got a gamma match on it or something like that. You've still got the resonance that's there along the antenna conduction, and then you can get other resonances coming in as well. So it can be very, very confusing trying to compare two antennas, Pedro. But I was interested when I switched to your antenna. That's what attracted me to your signal. I was which way is this bloke beaming? Because I knew you were beaming somewhere. Because when I switched to the CobWebb, you were the same strength, and I thought, well, I was beaming I was beaming west at the time, and I thought, well, this shouldn't be, you know. When I switched to the CobWebb, you should come stronger. And then I turned the beam right around to the east, and it was just the same. No matter where I turned the beam, you were the same strength. And I thought, I wonder which way this bloke's beaming. Of course, you were talking to the German station at the time, somebody out to the east, so I imagine that's where you were beaming. But when I beamed at you to the south, nope, you were no stronger than the CobWebb, the omnidirectional antenna. Anyway, now you've turned the beam towards England when you're talking to Peter there. It's now working right. And you're 6 dBs weaker when I switch to the CobWebb, which is nice to know. But it just shows you how confusing it can be when you're using a beam and I'm obviously getting backscatter signals from other directions. And it was a null on, you know, your elements would be end on to me. You're about south, aren't you? About due south of me, and the elements would be end on. So I wasn't getting a good signal direct, and I was getting an equal signal all the way around. But as a matter of interest, I just switched to the CobWebb now. I'm on the omnidirectional antenna. It's the same height antenna on a separate mast about 20 meters away from it. And there's well over 30 dBs of isolation on this beam heading. In fact, there's more like 40 dBs of isolation between the two antennas. So there's not any coupling between them of any note, you know. Anyway, that's back on the beam antenna, which should be a bit stronger. It's a bit worrying if it isn't. CS7AGN Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey, over.
Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey, CS7AGN, returning for you. Okay. Very, very, very nice to meet you on frequency, and thanks so much for passing by and to make this QSO with me. Okay, yes, I have no problems whatsoever. You are very, very strong. On your first antenna, you were putting me about almost 40 dBs over 9. Amazing signal. When you change for the end of the QSO, when you change the antenna, you are still coming strongly, but less strong, probably 25 dBs over 9. The difference, it's not so high. Okay, it's a very, very, very teeny difference, but anyway, there is a difference. That's for sure. Yes, and definitely when I started the QSO, I was pointing towards the east part of Europe. So from my position, it's about 55 degrees. And when I started to talk with Peter, because Peter was coming more or less from the side of my beam, I just turned the beam towards the UK, and now I'm pointing 15 degrees. So, and yes, that makes a huge difference for me. I'm using a X-beam antenna, only 2 wire elements per band. It's a 6-band X-beam from the 6 meters to the 20 meters. And it's not so high. It's about, let's say, less than 10 meters from the ground. So it's not so high as it should. But anyway, I think it's making a good job for me. The propagation is quite rare today because I was pointing towards the east part of Europe, like I said, and in 1 minute I'm not getting anything, only noise, and from nowhere stations coming with beautiful signals, 5.9, but definitely the QSB is out there. I was getting strong QSB. I was getting stations from Germany coming in 1 minute 5.9 plus 20, and in the other minute suddenly dropping below the noise floor. So quite rare conditions today, not stable. Anyway, and it's more or less like the weather over here in Portugal. Okay, we had very, very bad weather on the last days, and yesterday we have a beautiful day with very hot temperatures for this time of the year, and today we have a gray sky and it's almost raining over here, and the temperature just dropped a lot. We have 15, 16 degrees Celsius over here, not more than that. So the propagation is more or less about the weather. Okay, Golf 3, Tango Papa Whiskey, Charlie, Sierra 7, Alpha Golf November. Go ahead.
Okay, Pedro, fine from Golf 3, Tango Papa Whiskey. Yes, very good indeed. And yes, interesting then. And what I do, I keep switching between the beam and the CobWebb, and quite a few times when I switched to the CobWebb, and you were the same strength. You were the same strength. Just come, and then it'd go back to being normal, you know, and because it should be about 6 dBs weaker or so because of the gain of the beam. 8 dBs if you're feeling if you're feeling enthusiastic. Should be a bit more actually because the coax is twice as long. The coax is twice as long on the CobWebb antenna, on the omnidirectional antenna, because it's a long way away. The beam antenna is mounted on the corner of the house where the shack is here. The shack is in one corner of the house in the study, and the beam is mounted on that mast, which is so it's just got a vertical feed straight down into the rig, whereas the other one it has to go all along the garden before it gets to the other mast, and then up there. Well, fine on the hex beam, yes. Well, it's very, very good. I mean, you know, value for money wise, you could always argue, and size wise as well, a 2-element, that's when you get the maximum gain. It's always a law of diminishing returns, isn't it? You put 2 elements on and you can get, 5 dBs, 4.5, 5 dBs of gain. And you put 3 on and, you get 6 or 7 dBs of gain. But it's twice as big, of course. It's twice the boom length, you know. One thing where the 3-element, I think, does win out is that for that little bit of extra gain, it's taking the signals way down all the way around. So it does give you a lot better rejection. There's a 3-element compared with a 2-element, so it's much better on receive. It's I think value for money wise. Value for money wise, you think best is like the CobWebb antenna, the omnidirectional antenna, omnidirectional horizontal, because you don't need a rotator, and a very little tiny mast will support it fine. When you go to a 2-element, of course, you've got all the expense of the rotator, be it quite a lightweight one for the hex beam. But it's even so, you've got the rotator and the cage, and they all weigh a lot. So you need a much more substantial mast. And you think, well, if you've gone to that expense, you might as well go to a 3-element. But when you start going to a 4-element and a 5-element, it's an awful lot more expense. It doesn't give you an awful lot more gain. It's a law of diminishing returns, you know. I think that's the biggest increase is up to a 3-element. It's all good stuff, isn't it? I think with amateur radio, you come on with 100 watts. You come on with 100 watts and a dipole type antenna, and then you can make it 6 dB stronger by putting a linear on for 400 watts. And then if you get really keen and don't care about the rules, or you're in another country, you can get a bigger linear and get another 6 dB and put 1600 watts, 1.6 kilowatts. So you can gain 12 dB like that. And then you can put your antenna as a beam, 3-element beam, and get another 6 dBs. And then, of course, you can put your antenna twice as high and get another 6 dBs. And all those 6 dBs adds up, and that's why the contest stations are so strong, isn't it? So I'm just running 400 watts at the moment. So I've got my 6 dBs there. And I've got my 3-element beam, so I've got my 6 dBs there. So I'm 12 dBs up on your basic 100-watt dipole type station, which makes a big difference on the band, you know. Basically, the pile-up, of course, with 100 watts and a dipole, you've got to be there quick. You've got to be there at the beginning when he calls CQ, or else get it in when there's a little gap, It's very difficult to get through a massive pile-up. But, okay, on the QSB, yes, you get a lot of... I've noticed that when stations are slipping into the skip zone, like the German stations here, often they're in the skip zone here, particularly, part of Germany near to us, you can often hear sort of Munich, but you can't hear Frankfurt, and the northern parts of Germany are very close to us, and they get in the skip zone. But I've noticed they often peak. If you're talking to somebody, there's a big peaking signal. Wow, he's really strong now, and then he's gone. He almost seems to peak just before it disappears. So that's a little effect I've noticed with the stations getting into the skip zone. But we get a lot of QSB on our sort of path, don't we, anyway? And except to the States, it's very difficult doing antenna tests and measurements to the States, or anywhere fairly close. A lot easier to Australia and New Zealand, where I think the multiple paths all sort of cancel, they all add up, and it becomes more of an average signal, and much steadier signals on the longer paths. Back to you, Pedro. CS7AGN, Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey.
G3 TP Whiskey, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November returning. Okay. Yeah, indeed. I was looking actually to your website, and I was looking to the CobWebb antenna, and let me say it's a quite ingenious solution, okay, for omnidirectional antenna. And also, let me say to you that my election for the X-beam over here, and I know it's a compromise antenna. So the driver for my election for this antenna was pretty much related with my real estate conditions. I don't have so much real estate to have towers and stuff like that. So I need to opt for an antenna that was at the same time lightweight and also considerable small. And the X-beam just tick all the boxes for me. And of course, yes, it's not presenting the gain figures as a full-size 3 elements monoband, but anyway, allows me to make 6 bands and almost all the bands without the use of the tenor whatsoever, because this is the broadband design. So the antenna is quite broadbanded in all the bands. And so I'm actually not using the tenor at all, okay, which for me it's always good. And anyway, it's rather small, and I can keep it inside my real estate, not invading my neighbors with a huge boom or with huge elements. So it was quite the requirements for me to choose the antenna. But like I said, I was looking to the web, and let me say congratulations. Quite ingenious solution, and indeed it's definitely also an antenna to consider if we have these kind of requirements. Not so much real estate, and also quite affordable antenna, and also without the use of the need to use a rotor and a rotor cage and a very heavy mast on that. So congratulations one more time, my good friend Steve. G3TPW CS7AGN. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, fine, Pedro. From Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey. Yeah, very good. Yeah, on that website, if you look at the box FAQs G3TPW, and there's a bit of thing about my history on there, but more interestingly, there's some photos of my 70 centimeters equipment back in the 1960s with little half pennies, little halfpennies coins as tuning capacitors and things like that. And there's a preamplifier shown there as well, was one of the very first germanium transistors, germanium UHF TV transistors when they first came out. It was a TIXM 105, I think that one, Texas Instruments experimental transistor, which cost me 19 shillings and sixpence, which was a lot of money in those days. Almost £1, an awful lot of money. my week's wages were £5, £5, 3 shillings and sixpence a week wages when I bought that. So that was 1/5 of my week's wages. Yeah, but that was made in brass, and when transistors first came out for TVs, of course, which transformed our band, you know. It doubled the range. I was using a radar 1N23E, a radar crystal as a mixer on 432 megs there, and it doubled my range instantly when I put that preamplifier on. So very good. And that was just in the shack. I used to use television coax in those days. Everything was 75 ohm in those days. 75 ohm coax is still very low loss, you know. This TV stuff is lower loss than the RG213 and the 50 ohm stuff. But that's another story, hey? Yeah. But yeah, so that's on the website. Yeah, space-wise, yeah, well, that's what this antenna, the CobWebb antenna, was aimed at, really. In fact, it was only 2.6 meters by 2.6 meters, very, very small. So a quarter of the area of my beam antenna. It was just a spin-off from my beam antenna design, which was a 3-element on 5-band beam with wire elements. And that was on a fiberglass cross as well. But of course it was twice the length, 4 times the area. So very similar actually to what the spider beam is now. I think spider beam in Germany have got a design there. Mine is a little different. I use relays to open circuit some of the elements so I could get maximum gain on 18 megs and 24 megs, 21 megs as well. But also I could get a good gain I could get more gain on 10 meters because I used to use the 14 meg elements as 2 reflectors on 28 megs by open circuiting them, of course. So you get you can stretch a little bit more of gain out of it, and by using the 14 meg elements as directors and reflectors, double the number on 10 meters. But you've got to use relays, of course, to do that. But this CobWebb antenna was a spin-off from that design, you see. And everybody wanted it. They didn't want the beam because it was too big. But urban gardens in this country are very, very small. And, you know, it's just too big, overhanging the neighbours and all that. So everybody wanted this little CobWebb, and so that's why we didn't pursue the beam design. I'm still going to design the beam. I'm still going to finish it one day. I think I'm not going to make it in production now. I'll just make it for myself, I think. I might sell the design to somebody else then as well, once I've shown it, demonstrated it working. But it's totally different now, the beam design. It's the same size as a 10-meter antenna. It's just like a 10-meter 3-element Yagi with 0.2 wavelength spacing. But it's got rats and rams, remote antenna tuners and remote antenna matchers in the center of each element, so you can tune it up on the other bands, including 6 meters, in fact. But you've got to, it's very, very low. You're talking of sort of a couple of ohms radiation resistance. So you can't use normal ATUs. You've got to use magnetic loop techniques and linear resonator techniques to tune it. And the bandwidth is very, very small. That's what goes, of course. When you make it small, you can't get away from it. The bandwidth goes down. That's the compromise. If you keep the efficiency up, then the bandwidth must go down. And but if you're tuning it electronically, then it's not a problem. I've got 5 different positions on 14 megs. The 14 megs is not 1 band, it's 5 bands. And 21 megs is 3 bands. And even 28 megs, where it's a full-size Yagi, is 2 bands. And just 1 band for 18 megs and 24 megs. But then there's trim on as well. There's trim in as well. So you can get it absolutely optimized on whatever frequency you're on. So there's frequency trim and frequency match, no matter where you are. So you've got that maximum, and that's actually a lot better than say doing it like the step IR, because the step IR, the other compromise of course is the spacing. Got fixed spacing, 0.1 of a wavelength on 14 megs, 0.2 of a wavelength on 28 megs, but it doesn't matter because I've got a switchable matching system, whereas the step IRs have got to make it so that it comes out at 50 ohms. They don't have an adjustable matching system, so there's a compromise there that goes on. Anyway, that's my design, but one day I'll get it finished. I've done all the prototyping, I've done all the measurements, and I know it works. I've tested all the theory out and done all the actual electromagnetic measurements. Did the last lot about 10 years ago, but procrastination is a thief of time, Pedro. Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey over.
Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November returning. Okay, Steve, very, very fine business, my good friend. So I was looking at the same time you were speaking, I was looking into the website, and yes, definitely a very, very, very nice design over here. I was just wondering over here, and it's a question for you, and sorry for that. If we can use the same design as for the CobWebb, for let's say to build up a monoband for the 40 meters. Go ahead.
Yeah, Roger, yeah. Yeah, well, because you can tune it with an ATU, but you'll have a hell of an SWR on your coax. But the easiest way, it makes a lovely antenna for RLF if you just strap the coax and feed it as a vertical. You know, if you're near the base of it, or you can put a tuner there. Just strap the coax together and tune it against ground. And it's a fantastic vertical for 160 meters or even 400 kilohertz, because you've got 40 meters of wire. You've got 40 meters of wire up there as a massive capacity hat at the top. And then you've got the bit of inductive loading with a choke balun. It's an air core choke balun, no ferrite rubbish, you know. It's an air core balun, and then you've got the coax, of course, coming down. But the trouble is, of course, it's a vertical. You need a good earth, and the problem generally, certainly in an urban area, is noise. You know, you're going to get a lot of noise pick up with a vertical. But I guess if you go on in the middle of the night, the trouble is, a lot of these switchboard power supplies, the things are left on all night, aren't they? Although the interference levels does seem to drop a heck of a lot when these things are on standby. They're not pushing current through, so there's not much radiation from them. But yeah, so that's the way. If you wanted to use it on 40, it would be better to use it as a vertical. If you want to chat up and down the country, you can't be just a dipole, you know, inverted V dipole slung up underneath the CobWebb with a separate feed. Really, that's such an easy antenna, isn't it? I've got a CobWebb for 40 meters in the loft in my roof space, and that does quite well, being so low down. But surprisingly little interference as well on that. Even though there's 2 television antennas, my television antennas are actually inside in the middle of the 40-meter CobWebb. I don't know. My antennas are helix antennas, 1610 helixes. The resonance on about 13 megs actually. I don't think that's a good antenna to use if you had 14 megs in the loft there, because of course it would be like a normal mode helix, like a rubber duck antenna on 14 megs, and probably give a large amount of RF pickup. Yeah. Yeah, so I say for outside, just a inverted V dipole is so easy to do, isn't it? And what I do, I have what I call a link dipole. So at the ends of the 40 meter dipole, I got one at 30 meters, 40 meters, and you just have linked. So you can just drop the ends down, operate the plug and socket arrangement, and you can extend it for 7 megs, or 3.5 megs, or 1.8 megs. Just by dropping the ends down. Just means you've got to go out and drop the ends down to change bands, but that's the easiest way. And with that system, I mean, it works really well. I mean, you can work ZL and VK, sort of S7 reports quite often. S5 is normal sort of report on 160 meters. That's the simplest way to do it. Just an inverted V dipole, I think. From Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey, over.
Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November. Okay, thank you so much for your explanations. I really appreciate it. Yes, because I'm considering to build up another antenna for the 40 meters band. Currently, I'm using a hand-fed wire, and I'm not quite impressed with the performance of the hand-fed for the 40 meters. It's working okay, mainly for NVIS kind of communication, because also I have the antenna not so high, and the distance from the ground it's only 8 meters. It's quite good for making contacts with local stations, but I was looking to upgrade to something that allows me to make some more DX on the 40 meters, and I was wondering if I can use somehow the design of the CobWebb, being omnidirectional antenna, so no need for another mast and another rotor. Probably I can, because it's quite lightweight also, I can use the same mast pretty much, and just put the antenna on the same mast as the exabeam. So I'm just wondering, and I'm making some investigations and some development in a new solution for my 40 meters operation. Okay, Steve, I'm really sorry, but the lunch starts to waiting for me, so I must leave the shack for a couple of minutes. It was a great pleasure to meet you on Frequency, and I'm really appreciated that you come back and make this QSO possible with me. Have a nice one, and I'm looking definitely to meet you again on Frequency. And have a nice one until there. Greetings from Portugal. God bless you. All the best, and the best 73s. Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey, Charlie Sierra 7 Alpha Golf November, your radio friend Pedro in Portugal, saying bye-bye and 73.
Yeah, okay, Pedro. Fine from Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey. Yeah, very good. Yeah, well, don't get too many different antennas up there on the same frequency, close to one another. And you remember, you're much better off with a bigger antenna, just one big one, than little ones. People sometimes say to me, well, which antenna should I get? One of your CobWebbs, or a hex beam, or a 3-element? And I always say, well, if you've got room, put a 3-element up, A 3-element will be better than a hex beam, and a hex beam will be better than a CobWebb. If you've got room for one, and you've got the money for a rotator and a more substantial mast, that's going to be better, without a doubt. You just got to be careful you don't get carried away with a CobWebb and a hex beam and loads of wires, and everything interreacts, everything mixes together, and you know, and it looks a mess as well, and your neighbours start complaining, and right, you got to go anyway. I'm sure you know all this, but yeah, a big antenna will always beat a small one, Pedro. CS7AGN Golf 3 Tango Papa Whiskey. Cheers for now.
Yes, indeed, Steve. It's a big antenna is always small for us, but quite huge for our neighbors. Bye-bye, 73, and all the best.
Cheers, all the best.
Echo Alpha 3 Delta Victor Juliet. Echo Alpha 3 Delta Victor Japan back control.
Fox Tango.
Sorry, guys. I have to leave. I have to QRT. The lunch is waiting for me, and it's being cold at the moment. I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and thank you so much for waiting. But I'm really, really sorry. I have to leave.
Oh, okay, fine. Right, that's fine then, Pedro. Yeah, I shall commandeer your frequency then. Sometimes, you know, you think you say you're signing, somebody says they're signing, and then there's a very old friend who they've not spoken to for years comes on frequency, and they want to just have a quick word with them, but there we are. Okay, so there was Echo Alpha 3, and there was another station as well. I don't know if you can hear one another, so I'll pass it to the other station. So the Echo Alpha 3, just stand by, and then the other station will come in, and if you can hear one another, we'll make a three-way of it. Golf 3, Tango Papa Whiskey, just listening, over.
Golf 3 Papa Whiskey. Echo Alpha 3 Delta Victoria Japan. Delta Victor Juliet. Good morning. Thank you very much for your response.
Okay, yep, I didn't hear the other station there at all. It might have been you just saying Victor Juliet at the end. I just thought